fading skies. Tattered flags waving dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to Stateside Footy. It's your boy Steve here, back again for the MLS live stream. Minnesota United hosting LAFC, Western Conference number 3 versus number 4. And god damn it, man, I got to be honest with you, it's going to be a fucking goddamn thriller today for numerous reasons. And of course, for LAFC, no Son Heung-min today, as he did not make the match day squad. No, not necessarily a report on whether or not he's been injured or not. But that being said, it's kind of a bummer because I was kind of curious to see him today, but it is what it is. He's not in the match day squad. For Minnesota United, it is the debut of James Rodriguez, obviously the Colombian maestro, the number 10. Will set to make his debut for Minnesota United. And so for that standpoint, man, I'm kind of curious to see what's kind of left in the tank. And of course, James, a couple years ago, thought to be kind of missing in the wilderness, I guess you can say, from club football, reappeared for his Colombian national team and had himself, I got to be honest with you, one hell of a Copa America for Colombia. And from that point on, there was going to be speculation of whether or not he would actually hit the American shores to play in Major League Soccer. And it took a couple of years, but here we are. And I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of excited about this. But that being said, this is a 3 versus 4 in the Western Conference. And I got to be, listen, the last couple of weeks, the schedule has not been kind for the Western Conference. Generally speaking, it's either the games that I wanted to see were either on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock and I didn't want to stay up that late, or it's been on a Sunday leading into a work day, and I just didn't want to do it. And so we had a lot of Eastern Conference showdowns, NYFC, New York Red Bull, Inter Miami, and of course all of that is great. But I think you guys know by now that I am a Western Conference guy. Flat out, full stop. I just love the Western Conference. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm a Seattle guy, but Seattle's not playing this weekend. So the next best thing is LAFC. And this is actually not a bad matchup. Let's go ahead and get into the lineups. And Minnesota will it's kind of weird because, yes, I guess you can say they're playing in a 3-4-3. And of course, it's weird because when they attack, it looks a little different, as it usually does. But in goal today will be Drake Callender. And of course, Minnesota last year, obviously Dane St. Clair The interesting thing about that is Minnesota United actually gave the bag to Dayton St. Clair, only for him to say, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go play with Messi. So in comes Drake Callender. I guess he's okay. Not exactly the world's greatest goalkeeper, but that being said, he is definitely MLS serviceable. So from that standpoint, bet it's cool. The back three of Diaz, Dugan, and it looks like what's his name? Pedalford. Midfield four of how do you pronounce dude's last name? Longwain. Yeah, Longwain. There you go. Longwain, Track, Chiantis, and Marcanish. And then, of course, an attacking three of Dieng, Yeboah, and there he is, your boy James Rodriguez in the starting 11. And I got to be honest with you, man, this thing has the potential to look incredibly slick. Kelvin Yeboah, by the way, is him. Now, granted, when you're kind of looking at prolific scorers in Major League Soccer, you think of Sammy Surridge and you think of Leo Messi. Maybe you think about Peter Musa and FC Dallas, but Kevin Yeboah has 5 on the season right now, and of course that's pretty much up there. Considering that the lead leaguer is 9. He's essentially one off of Julian Hall and Ty Baribo and Brian White, Hugo Kuipers. And, he's just a couple off from, Sammy Surridge and Leo Messi. What's interesting about Kelvin Yeboah was a couple years ago, you can see that the tools were there. And I remember watching this dude. Yeah, I remember watching this dude a couple years ago, just kind of thinking to myself, like, if they get the right coach that is going to like play to this dude's strengths, and if they actually get like a proper 10, this dude has a tendency to be a potential 15 to 20 guy. And sure enough, he's gotten off to a very good start for Minnesota United. I'm not going to sit here and say anything crazy like he's going to end up like leading the Western Conference in goals. I don't think I really want to do that. But what I will say is that this dude has the potential to have a special season. That's all I'm going to say. I really do feel like he can be that guy, and really kind of put the pieces together and really kind of challenge for a potential golden boot. All right, let's take a look at LAFC, who do line up in a 3-4-3. In net today will be Hugo Lloris and, of course, the one-time French captain. Dude, he's still, I'll tell you what, man, he's still going strong for LAFC. The back three of Tafari, Long, and Segura. Not exactly the worst back three. A midfield four of Hollingshead, Tillman, Estaquio, Smolikov will be on the left-hand side. An attacking three of Martinez, Dennis Bawanga, and then, of course, Ordaz, who's through the middle, and, of course, no Sonny, as he is out today. And, again, I don't necessarily know if it is an injury or what the deal was, but he was a late-minute replacement for today's game. So Ordaz will be up top for LAFC. Not a bad replacement. I kind of like Ordaz. Those are your starting 11. So we're getting pretty goddamn close to kick from, I believe it's the Allianz in downtown Minneapolis. Blah. Bet. I'm just playing. As soon as this one hits, obviously we will get into it. I do want to say what's up to all the homies that are tuning in on TikTok Live. I want to thank those that are tuning in via Facebook, and of course those on X that are watching, and those that are tuning in via YouTube. Man, you guys are awesome. Do me a favor and throw your boy a like and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell, and also so you don't miss out on any upcoming Stateside Footy content, man. This is going to be an awesome one. The interesting thing about this one is Minnesota United definitely changed their style of play. Last year, they were very much a counter-attacking team. They were a what's a good way of saying this? All right. Well, the best way of saying it is that they bunkered quite a bit. Very resolute in the midfield, and very hard to break down on the back end. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they didn't necessarily have the outside attacking prowess that you would like to see. And outside of a guy like Kelvin Yeboah, they didn't necessarily have a number two to their number one. And so from that standpoint, they picked and choose when they wanted to get forward. And in certain points, and I do remember last year in Seattle when Minnesota United came through, that's how they initially beat Seattle on the road. And it was, a very meticulous way when they choose to get forward. This year, it's not so much. This year, they've kind of opened things up. And yes, of course, they do have the addition of James Rodriguez. But that being said, it's, they started playing to a little bit of what they had, because they do have good guys in Longwayne and Dieng that can get forward, and that can be a little bit pesky. And because they do have a double pivot that they don't necessarily need to get forward, it is allowing some of their attacking pieces to move forward, challenging some of that back line. So it's not necessarily where they feel like they have to bunker all the goddamn time. They can actually get forward. And so far, they've done a very good job. I mean, Cameron Knowles as far as I'm concerned, Cameron Knowles has done a very good, fairly decent job. Now, granted, they have given up 13 goals, but they've also scored 11 on the season. And 5 wins kind of says it all. It's sitting in 4th place, 17 points. And, from that standpoint, you would have to say that so far it's kind of worked. For LAFC, it is the same thing that we saw last season as well too. Marc Dos Santos knows exactly what he has at his disposal, and of course it's a great 1-2 punch in Sonny and Dennis Bouanga, and certainly maybe this season Sonny's goal totals aren't exactly what you would expect him to be at this stage, but granted, we're only 8-9 games into the season. And okay, but it's a long season. You expect those numbers to get up. Dennis Bouanga certainly has kind of held up his end. He's got 4 goals on the season. Total LAFC's put 16 in the back of the net while only surrendering 6. So having that kind of goal difference at this stage is absolutely dynamite. I mean, they're at a +10. So Marc Dos Santos has, it's funny because I didn't think Marc Dos Santos would do a good job at LAFC. Personally, I thought he was a retread. And I don't necessarily believe in retreads, but that being said, it was almost the same situation with Steve Cherundolo. Like, you're inheriting a very talented squad in LAFC. And of course, it is an ownership group that you would expect in the summer. They're going to go out there and add pieces if that's needed. And you don't have to, you really have to screw things up to not be successful in LAFC. Even if you are a marginal coach, if you actually implement a season that a set of tactics that play to that strength, you're probably going to be successful. And sure enough, we have seen LAFC so far have a pretty solid start to the season. Speaking of which, LAFC, by the way, open up the semifinals of the CONCACAF Champions League. They will the first leg will be in LA versus Toluca. And then, of course, there is the return leg on Wednesday, May 6th. So, there's a good chance that LAFC is going to find their way into the final. By the way, Nashville will host Tigres. There is also a very solid possibility that this could be an all MLS final, which would be the first time in the history of the CONCACAF Champions League that would happen. So, obviously LAFC is doing something right. Now, granted, in the Western Conference, they are sitting currently third. And it's it's still early, and they're sitting 4 points off of Vancouver. San Jose, by the way, hello. San Jose is actually doing quite well, sitting in first place. But it's going to be interesting to see how this thing will play out tonight. As far as prediction goes, there have been a few occasions where I have gone against the grain and picked the road team. And every time, both times that I picked against the home team, I've lost. And it really is an interesting dichotomy in Major League Soccer where, generally speaking, home teams generally have like a 35% chance of winning right out of the gate, right? It's usually like 35-24, something like that. And it's generally held up. Those odds have generally held up. So it's weird. As much as I really want to say LAFC 3, Minnesota 1, would I be surprised if it was like 2-1 or 3-2 Minnesota? Not at all. Not at all. As far as my prediction goes, I think I'm gonna listen, man, I'm gonna go against the grain again. I'm gonna say 3-1 LAFC. That's what I'm gonna say. I look at Minnesota's back line, and I don't see a bad back line, but I also see a back line that has leaked 13 goals on the season. And when you're looking at some of the worst defenses in the Western Conference, obviously Sporting KC, Austin, Portland, Houston, and then it's like, what, Minnesota, Dallas, San Diego, Colorado that are in that 13 to 15 goals conceded. So it's going to be interesting, right? So is this the type of defense that plays well at home and struggles to hold leads on the road? Or is it this type of team that kind of just struggles regardless of where they play? So what I will say is, yes, Minnesota can score, but LAFC has a defense that's only conceded 6, and they also know how to score. So I'm going to say LAFC 3, Minnesota 1. That's kind of where I'm at with this one. So we will definitely see how this plays out. And it looks like we are pretty goddamn close to kick here in Minnesota. There we go. You guys let me know. What do you guys think this match will play out? Do you guys what's going on now? Oh wow, cool. Thank you for that. Leo925. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel like this one's going to play out? Do you guys like LAFC? I would probably think that most people will fall in the LAFC camp just because that they just have that type of firepower. By the way, today's refs are going to be Guido Gonzalez Jr., who will be on the field, and in the VAR booth will be Craig Lowry and Jorge Gonzalez. So there you go. That's a Latin trio. So there's Hamas. who is wearing the loon badge. I'm actually quite excited, man. And there's Deddy Bawanga. I'm actually quite excited to see Hamas in Major League Soccer. This does feel like this is tailor-made for a dude like Hamas. So Minnesota will start with possession. They're going to be playing from left to right as we are getting set, and we are off here as Hamas will play this all the way back to Callender, who plays it forward. And we are underway here at the Allianz as it looks like that ball will be played out. So Minnesota will have a throw in here as Paddleford will be responsible here for this throw in. And it looks like they're going to be doing the long throw. And that thing was launched into the box as LAFC will try to play this one out, but Minnesota looks like Minnesota will potentially have a throw in here. As play resumes. And we'll see what Minnesota can do. As this one will get played back to homeboy as Minnesota. Now it's Will Trapp. I can't believe Will Trapp is still playing. That's crazy. As this ball will get played forward as that finds, I think, Dieng. And now Minnesota will try to shift this one to the right. Jesus. Just play the ball forward. I'm going to have 15 touches in my own end. And, yeah. And because of the press, they're going to pass it back, pass it to the side. Hamas chips it forward as that ball eventually finds Will Trapp as looks like Timmy Tillman there was pressing the ball. Of course, Tillman did see a couple caps with the USMNT last year, which was interesting in itself. As Minnesota nearly lost the ball there, as that ball will get out. Oh, get up, dude. As Smolikov, it wasn't even that hard of a tackle. Get up. Jesus Christ, man. As Diaz hit the deck. So this will be a free kick as it's going to be Hamas who will get the free kick here. As that ball will get played in. That's a good free kick. As it does find the back post. As that'll get out. So I do believe this will be Minnesota's first corner. Jesus Christ, that dude has a brilliant left foot. I forgot. It's been a while since I've seen Hamas play. I remember World Cup 2014 when I guess you can say he became that finds Markanich, and he can't handle it as he was he was alone, by the way, as that ball it bounced right to him, and it looked like Aaron Long. No, it's Smolikov and Esposito right there closed down the space, and it looked like he got a little trigger happy. But I saw James Rodriguez in the 2014 World Cup. It was a little bit of a debut for James with Colombia, and he became a star during that World Cup. And of course, it was off the back end of the 2014 World Cup that he got his move. I believe it's to Real Madrid. And, of course, Hamas, yeah, I guess you can say he couldn't handle playing for Los Blancos, but, he's had a couple solid European stints, with big, 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 big clubs. And of course, over the last couple years, as that ball is going to get forward, as Dieng is going to try to beat his man, and that's good defense right there by LAFC. As it looks like, it looks like Aaron Long had a good tackle right there. So this will be another Minnesota corner. And then, for a while there, we didn't hear anything of Hamas. And he popped up in the as that ball goes in. Again, that'll drop to Markanic, who puts one on, and he sends one over the crossbar. And, he popped up in the 2024 Copa America, and he had himself a very good tournament, leading Colombia to a final. And, I think a lot of people at that stage were like, well, Hamas could come to Major League Soccer. And, of course, I think there were 4 teams that really, really wanted Hamas, but I think he ended up signing in Brazil, and it didn't work out. And I think the timing was right for Hamas to come to Major League Soccer. So here he is in Minnesota. And I actually think this is a good place for him to start his MLS journey. I know that sounds weak. I don't like using that term, journey. It sounds like people that use that term, fitness journey. But in Minnesota, there's not a lot of media scrutiny. So he can have himself a, I guess you can say an off night, and it's not going to matter. Whereas if he was in Miami or, even then. But, that being said, it's like Minnesota's a fan base where, even poor performances, they're still going to celebrate it. They're going to be like, well, there's always tomorrow. As LAFC tries to keep possession, but Minnesota's doing a really good job of taking away passing lanes. But again, that's a bad pass. So LAFC will have possession as Tillman will play one forward, as he was trying to pick out Dennis Bouanga, but again, Minnesota with good defense. As Calendar tried to play one long, and LAFC will come away with this one. Who is that dude? He's got an interesting hairdo. Who is that? Segura? That dude's interesting. As that ball gets played forward. Here's Bouanga. Good give and go. Here's Tillman. And they say play on. As Tillman hit the deck. And I think he... he kind of milked that one right there. As Aaron Long will now move it into a central area. As LAFC now will shift it to the left. Here's Martinez. And that's a good give and go in the boxes. Martinez, he clears the defender. There's a shot. Oh, what a goal! What a goal by Martinez. Woo! 8.5 minutes in. And LAFC is on the board. Woo, that was silky. As he beats straight Calendar near post. Good Lord. As nobody closed down on Martinez as he was allowed to dribble all the way to the edge of the box, and it looks like it was Estaquito, and then he beat straight Calendar near post. And Calendar's, you're supposed to save that one. There's no excuses right there. He puts it right over his right shoulder and into the back of the net. Good freaking Lord. What a give and go. That dude, that Minnesota defense. Good freaking Lord. That was ugly. So 8.5 minutes in, LA takes a 1-0 lead. As play resumes. Good freaking Lord. Let's see. Do you do predictions about MLS every week? Good to know. Read by American about those teams. I guess I do a lot of MLS content, if that's what you mean. I'm from Brazil and looking for understand better a new market out of South America and Europe as well. Well, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Baratsmi, you've landed at the right spot. As Minnesota now will play this one long down the left-hand side. And there's going to be a whistle as Marcanic tried to go over Hollingshead as Hollingshead fell to the ground and drew a whistle. Yeah, as Hollingshead took a dive. Marcanic didn't even push off on him. Dude, this is sloppy. There absolutely has to be automatic yellows for these dives. That was a blatant dive. And now LAFC now will have possession as Tillman will play one forward down the left-hand side as it's Bouanga. As now this ball gets played back. Yeah, there's no identity in style of play anymore. Everybody just plays the exact same way now. There's no real differential. The funny thing about it is I don't know if you guys were paying attention, and it looks like Ordaz hit the deck right there. So play will resume as Martinez nearly lost the ball right there for LAFC. But Nottingham Forest beat who did they beat? Sunderland 5-0. And Forest only took here's Bouanga now as he's going to try to get into the box. There's a shot on net and Drake Callender's there for the save. Good opportunity right there for Bouanga. But the funny thing is, like, Forest only had 36% of the possession, took 6 shots, scored on 5 of them. They didn't care about possession. They just played direct, got into an area, shot and scored. That was it. And I got to be honest with you, I kind of like that. You know, all this high possession, that's a good pass in right here, trying to pick out Yeboah. And all this possession doesn't mean a damn thing unless you do something with it. And sometimes, like, this nonstop conceding space just to shift and move the ball around, it just seems so unnecessary. Here's Martinez now. That's a good pass in. It just so happens that there was a Minnesota defender there to pick that pass off. So United now will have possession. Here's Hamas. I think I'm turning into that typical old guy now. That's the thing. It's like I can appreciate the style in which, a Pep Guardiola plays, but even Pep plays direct at times. But this like right here, it's like it's just an unnecessary back pass because it looked like a lane was cut off, and it's like, dude, take your defender on and see what happens. It's like all this is just there. There you go, a pass into a bad area, and it's taken away. It's just one too many passes. Just play the ball forward and see what happens. That one's taken away. So here comes United. Here's Hamas now down the right-hand side. Hamas! As that one was taken away. And here comes LAFC down the left-hand side. Yeah, I think I'm that old guy now that it's funny because I was watching an old Manchester United match from like 93, like when Eric Cantona came over and, they were playing, I think they were playing, I don't know. They were playing Blackburn. And this was Alan Shearer Blackburn Rovers. And both teams were playing 4-4-2, and both teams were just kind of playing that that bump and run style of 4-4-2, and both teams were direct. And both teams were physical. And it was just an entertaining game of football. And it's like this. Both teams just, trying to hold the ball and not really doing much of anything with the ball. Sometimes, you have to do something to break the monotony. Let's see. Nate Ski. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. The Prince Tire USL Cup. RAFC versus Hartford. There it is. Any Discord group, Telegram? I do not have a Discord group. I can't tell you what a Discord channel is. I wish I could tell you. There's the retread, Marc Dos Santos, formerly in Vancouver with the Whitecaps. As this ball will go forward, there's Yeboah, and down goes Yeboah, and the ball goes to LAFC. As LAFC is going to try to push this up the right side. As Minnesota is now going to try to push the tempo here, as that ball is going to go up the right-hand side, but there's nobody there, as Will Trapp will come up with this. And now Minnesota will try to play this down the left-hand side. That's a good pass. And there's a turnover. And Will Trapp does a good job of getting that ball back for Minnesota. That was just an errant pass. So here's Diaz. And that was a bad pass right there by Triantis. As Minnesota will have the throw in here. As we will set this one up again. As Markanich now will switch it up to the right side. That's a good ball through. And that will take a deflection. As Dieng right there made a nice little run down the right-hand side. So this will get out for another corner for Minnesota. That dude has pink hair. So Minnesota now has their third corner here in the first half, trailing 1-0 as Hamas puts one in, as LAFC pops one up, but racing for the ball is Martinez now. And Martinez will play this one long, but right there is Minnesota as they play it back to Drake Callender. Yeah. I can't blame Dane St. Clair for leaving. I'm surprised they didn't want an Argentinian goalkeeper, but yeah. Last year's goalkeeper of the year took the bag in Miami to play with Messi. That's a good ball in from Triantis. There is a shot that's not going to be anywhere near target. As that ball fell into a dangerous area, and it was Longwayne that got to it, but Longwayne, that was a sitter too. Nice position. And he just, yeah. He couldn't shoot in traffic. And on the ground now is Dieng as he's up. As looks like there was a challenge between him and Aaron Long won. So this is going to be, looks like it's going to be a Minnesota free kick here. So James Rodriguez yet again. There's Hugo. Let's see if Minnesota can do anything here with this free kick. James plays one in, and it did find Dieng. He just couldn't do anything with it. As that ball does go out. Last touch by Will Trapp. So LAFC now will have possession here. By the way, LAFC will play 8 matches in April between MLS and the CONCACAF Champions Cup. That's crazy. That's a lot. As here's Longwayne. As Longwayne does control that ball for Minnesota. So United possession here. Again, down 1 as their defense collapsed. As Martinez was able to find an alley in and scored an absolute beauty of a goal. As Hugo Lloris comes out, as that was a good ball forward for Minnesota, as it did find Longwayne. As he made a dynamite run. But the touch was a little too heavy right there, as Hugo Lloris did a good job. So here comes United again. As Diaz will play it forward down the right side. Here's Longwayne. As Triantis will play it back to Diaz. And we will start this over again. Here's Longwayne pushing forward. As that one will go out. Last touch by LAFC. As Minnesota does hold the possession battle through the first 23 minutes, 52 to 48%. As Paddleford will have this long throw here for Minnesota. As this one will get headed back toward Hugo Lloris, who immediately plays it out, and there's Martinez. Ordaz is already forward. Here comes Bouanga, as Martinez will play one in. He'll take a shot. And there's Callender. As Minnesota now will have yet another crack in the attack. I didn't mean to rhyme right there. And that's a turnover. Oh, they're actually going to call the whistle. As Yeboah came down to make a touch. As Aaron Long made a diving tackle right there. So yeah, they're gonna get that whistle. Here's your boa. Here's your boy. As they're going to circle this one down to the right. That's good defense right there by LAFC. They got 2 on the ball. Here's Triantis. As Triantis will play it in, it's going to take a deflection. He gets his own deflection. Here's Hamas. Oh, they try to play a give and go as that ball went out of bounds. LA's defense has been nice. Not giving up a lot of space. As Smolikov has done a nice job down there on the right-hand side. So LAFC will have a throw in here. And Minnesota will come away with it. Yeah, that ball didn't need to go back to Calendar. You didn't need to start that deep. You could have just passed it to the left. That's a complete waste of time. As Ordaz did a good job right there on Diaz. As here's Hamas. As Ordaz is back in position. As there is a takeaway right there. As here's Timmy Tillman. Plays it to the right side. Here comes LAFC now. There's a ball in. Finds Ordaz. He can't control it, and Minnesota will come away with it. As Will Trapp will play it forward. That was good D on that was good D by Long. And that was just a bad pass forward. As LAFC will take possession now. As it found its way all the way back to Hugo Lloris. As there is a whistle right there. As play restarts, here's your boa. Here's your boy. Your boy. Here's Will Trapp. That's a good ball. Here's Longwayne. Plays one in. It's going to take a deflection. Ooh. That dude got... Segura got caught right at the balls. Oh, that hurts. Oh, that one hurts. Oh, he got nut checked. Oh. Yeah, it was not intentional, but that sucks. As Longwayne tried to make a cross into the box, and yeah, he took it right off his dick. Ooh. That sucks. He's up though. Oh. That supporters group is gay. So this will be a corner for Minnesota. Here's Hamas. Play it in. Back post. Oh! Ooh, nearly scored. As that was headed down. And it looked like LAFC did a good job right there on the line to keep that ball out. That looked like it was a goal. As Minnesota will hold possession here. Here's Hamas. Oh, that's a nice move by Hamas. And, oh, Hamas is going to get the whistle. Yeah, you're right. You got the whistle, bud. You can get up now. Oh, yeah, that was good defense right there by Timmy Tillman. Yeah, he was right there on the line. That ball was headed in. He used the lesser known Tillman in the USMNT player pool. Obviously overshadowed by his older brother Malik. I don't think they're related. So Minnesota will have a free kick. as that ball goes in. Oh, and Hugo Lloris stands tall. Yeah, now Lloris will play one long because it's Martinez on the run. Oh, good defense by Minnesota. Good defense. As they're allowed to dribble that ball all the way in. Here's Yeboah. And yeah, he can't get past Aaron Long. As Minnesota will take this one. Here's Markanich. Plays it in. Here's Yeboah. As he can't get past Diaz, but Minnesota will hold that ball in. There's a shot that goes into orbit. As that goes 12 rows up. As we see that one again, man, it actually hit 3 Minnesota United attackers, and they couldn't get the ball in. As on the next end, when Hugo Lloris played it long, Longwayne did a very good job defensively for Minnesota as Martinez was streaking down the pitch. As you know, we're about 30 minutes into this first half, and outside of LAFC's goal, it has really been just kind of a sloppy back and forth. Possession really held by Minnesota for the most of this first half, but Minnesota really hasn't done anything with the ball. Haven't really had any decisive shots on net. Haven't really challenged Hugo Lloris whatsoever. So, you know, good defense by LAFC, really. And they've really locked down Hamas. As Hamas plays one in. Finds Trianis, but Trianis can't handle it. So here comes LAFC. As they will play this one forward. Here's Ortaz, who gets to it. As he's D'd up by Dugan. And now they will swing it to the other side. Oh, every center back has to touch it. I got you now. Here's Timmy Tillman. And Tillman nearly lost it there. As Hugo Lloris has to play it long for some reason. As that one eventually goes out. So LAFC, after all of that, LAFC will have the throw-in. James Rodriguez currently leads touches for Minnesota United with 45. David Martinez with LAFC with 24. That dude has a curly, blonde curly afro. That is nice. I like it. That's bold to go blonde, man. That's a good ball forward. As here's Ordaz. As there's the switch to the left hand. And now it's Timmy Tillman. The first instinct is to go backwards. That's a good move right there. Here's Bouanga trying to play it to himself. And there's a whistle against Bouanga. Of course, there was that talk in the offseason about Bouanga going to, I think it was Flamengo in Brazil. And I think in the last minute, LAFC stepped up and paid him. Yeah, that would have been interesting had Dennis Bouanga left LAFC, but all it takes is a bunch of money. As that one will get out. Last touch by Timmy Tillman. So this will be a Minnesota throw-in. as we are approaching the 35th minute. 10 minutes remain here in the first half. As Minnesota, Minnesota's trying. I'll give them that. There's the switch to the right-hand side. It's Diaz. Here's Hamas, and Hamas will play one forward. As that was flicked on by Yaboya. And here's Kelvin. And that's a good challenge right there by Aaron Long. And now Yaboa tries to make a challenge of himself. And it comes down to Markanich. And Markanich gets his back pocket pick, so here comes LA. Oh. And Hamas takes the ball away. Jesus. This is a clusterfuck. Only in Major League Soccer. As that one is going to take a deflection, and now it's going to be played deep. As it'll be Dugan versus Martinez, and Dugan, of course, wins. He's 6 inches taller. Here's Hamas. And it'll find Diaz now on the right-hand side. As Smolikov has Longwain. And Hamas will play one forward. Does find a shooter. It's going to take a deflection. There's Yaboa. And he finds the grass, but I think this is going to be a goal kick here. Yaboa is wanting a penalty. Why does that dude have blue and pink hair? Good Lord, Minnesota. Do better. As initially it was a shot. Oh, yeah. Yaboa just couldn't handle it. As, yeah, there was no penalty on Tafare. So this will be a goal kick for LAFC. As Hugo will play this one down the right-hand side, but immediately Minnesota comes away with it. And Nyang can't even handle it, so here comes LAFC now. Here's Bawanga against Trapp. It's a trap! As Bawanga will go down. I think that might have been against Hamas. But after the restart, here's Smolikov. And there's going to be a whistle against Smolikov. No, actually, it's going to be against Diaz. And Smolikov will actually win the free kick down deep down the left-hand side. So LAFC in a very dangerous area here. Yeah, I don't. Well, he did get his arm underneath, so that's probably what the ref was seeing, although that was kind of a weak foul, but nonetheless. As this will be handled by Denny Bawanga here. There it is. As it was played short in Minnesota. Will lose possession here as Martinez will keep it for LAFC. As that gets played back to Lloris, and Lloris just sends it into high orbit. So Minnesota will have the throw in here. As Hamas will play it deep. There's Lloris. He did have Markanich coming off that left-hand side right there, looking for that ball over the top. Good idea. And there is a whistle. So it'll be an LAFC free kick here. This has been a remarkably sloppy first half here as we are approaching minute 40 now. Not a lot of fluidity in possession for either team. It is literally, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's Keystone Cops, but neither team could establish the midfield. Here's Smolikov. Here's Bouanga. How many times are these two going to play it between each other? There you go, Timmy. Look forward. As Tillman will come away with it. And it's Tafari. And now that one goes back to the keeper. And now Lloris will play this long. Here's Calendar. All that for nothing. As Minnesota now will have possession here. Here's Hamas. As last touch by Hamas, so LAFC will have the throw in here. I do want to thank all those that are tuning in on TikTok Live for the MLS live stream, LAFC versus Minnesota. And of course, for those that are just tuning in, LAFC does lead 1-0 here in the 41st minute of the first half on a nice give and go to David Martinez. But outside of that, there's a chip to the back post, and Hugo Lloris will punch it away. Minnesota has done a good job of keeping possession, but as far as putting dangerous shots on net, that's not necessarily been their forte. As LAFC has done a decent job defensively to compact nice little tight lines. That's a good little ball in. It's Long Wayne, and that ball gets cleared. As coming all the way out is Calendar. And Minnesota will try this again. As that was a nice little opportunity right there. Good defense, though. Here's Minnesota trying to attack down the left-hand side before that got closed down, and Homeboy just turned around and went back where he came from. Here's Yeboah, who stands tall. Yeboah tries to take a shot. That's going to be deflected by Aaron Long. And here comes LAFC. It's Martinez now. Cutting into the center parts. Plays it over to the left-hand side. Here's Bouanga, who cuts in. Finds Martinez. And Martinez loses the possession. And here comes Minnesota. It's Hamas. Here's Trap. It's a trap. Finds Hamas now. Hamas will take a rip, and that'll just get over the bar. That's Hamas's first real look at the net right here. And he nearly put one in far post right there. It was pretty close. Not a bad first half for Hamas. As Hugo will play this down the right-hand side. As that one will get out. And I think LAFC will hold possession here. As Minnesota has put 10 shots on net, I would be curious to see how many are on target. LAFC only 3. Minnesota does lead the XG battle. Of course they would, because they have controlled possession. As that's a turnover. And immediately returned over to Minnesota, as Will Trapp will play this to Drake Callender. And here's Diaz, who will play this one long. And Niang was looking for a foul. Doesn't get it. Here comes LAFC. And Marcanich nearly took it away. It's just sloppy. As Tafori now. Here's Aaron Long. That's not exactly a clean pass right there. That was nearly taken away, as now Tafori has to play this one back all the way back to Lloris. And Lloris one skies it, as it'll find Marcanich. Here's Hamas now in space. Plays it off to Longwain, and Longwain decides to slow up before getting the ball, as that ball gets cleared. And Minnesota will play it all the way back to Callender. So 2 minutes of extra time here in the first half, as Minnesota is looking to cash in before the end of the first half. Here's Hamas, and Hamas will take a rip. Ooh, that's a good save right there by Hugo Lloris. Yeah, why not? Nobody's making a run to the box. You might as well make something happen. God, that girl's fat. All right. As Hamas just decided to take a rip from 35 yards out, required to save, as Hamas plays one in, as that is going to get out of the box. And here comes LAFC now. It'll be David Martinez who catches up with that ball. And Bouanga loses control, but LAFC will keep possession, as Marcanich will play it out. So this will be halftime in Minnesota, as LAFC does lead 1-0. Hey, Steve, are you okay? Great win today. Yep. That was I wouldn't say that was a great win. It was definitely a much needed win. It was a good one. Yeah. But that was a necessary 3 points that we got today, for sure. All right, so turning to the halftime stats here. Minnesota United does lead the possession battle 56-44. They also lead the XG battle currently, 1.07 to LAFC's 0.15. Total shots 10-3. Minnesota only has 2 shots on target, while LAFC got all 3 of their shots on target. Minnesota had 2 big chances and missed 2 big chances. LAFC has had 1 and cashed in on their 1. Accurate passes, Minnesota United 245, LAFC 186. Fouls committed, Minnesota 7, LAFC 6, and Minnesota leads the corner battle 5-0. In the XG, XG from open play, Minnesota 0.68, LAFC 0.15, and of course on set plays, LAFC is yet to really get a set piece. So from that, Minnesota 0.39, LAFC 0. In the shots department, block shots, Minnesota 3, LAFC 0. Shots inside the box, 6-1 for Minnesota, and shots outside the box, 5-2 to Minnesota. Total passes, 277 to 221 to Minnesota. Passes in the own half, 110 110 Minnesota, 97 LAFC. Passes in the opposition half, 135-89 to Minnesota. Accurate long balls, LAFC 19-11. Accurate crosses, 3-0 to Minnesota. Throws 6-4 to Minnesota. Touches in the opposition box, 13-3. Neither team is offside, and neither team has drawn a yellow card. LAFC leads the tackle battle 11-7. They also lead the interception battle 5-3. They have four blocks to none. LAFC also leads clearances 13-10 and keeper saves Minnesota 2, LAFC 1. In the duel battle, LAFC leads that one 25-24. They also lead ground duels 21-17. Aerial duels 7-4 Minnesota, and successful dribbles 4-3. So in that department, Minnesota has done a brilliant job, I guess, keeping possession. Neither team look confident in the middle of the park, as that is where the bulk of the turnovers are happening for both teams. There's not a lot of confidence on the ball when trying to work their way through the midfield. It feels like both teams are trying to rush. And because of it, both teams are making mistakes at a very high level. And it seems like Minnesota is playing down that right side quite a bit, and LAFC has done a good job of adjusting. And because of it, Minnesota can't find a way necessarily inside the LAFC box, and when they do, generally speaking, it's not all that comfortable for Minnesota. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how Minnesota regroups at the half. And for LAFC, it doesn't necessarily matter how many touches they have. Obviously we saw one big touch in the first half, and that's currently where the scoreline stands. So again, if they have another counter-attacking opportunity here and they're able to cash in, they're going to walk out with these 3 points 100%. Let's take a look around Major League Soccer today. Atlanta United has beaten Toronto 2-1, as Alexei Miranchuk scored in the 48th minute and Tristan Moyumba scored in the 67th minute for Atlanta, and Emilia Aristabel scored in the 71st minute as Atlanta United picks up a pretty big 3 points. They're actually struggling this season. Let's see. Montreal beat NYCFC 1-0 today, as Prince Owusu scored in the 18th minute, and Tyson Gray got a red card in the 78th minute, as Montreal takes all three from NYCFC. Congratulations to Montreal. A little bit later today, Inter Miami will take on New England. DC hosts Orlando City. The New York Red Bulls will be in Cincinnati to take on FC Cincinnati, so that's going to be an interesting one. Columbus will host Philadelphia. Austin hosts the Houston Dynamo in a Texas derby, so that's going to be interesting. Chicago will take on Sporting KC. Nashville hosts Charlotte. San Jose will travel to St. Louis. San Diego hosts Portland, and the Sounders do play FC Dallas tonight at 10:30. And Vancouver will host Colorado. Tomorrow, it'll be the LA Galaxy versus Real Salt Lake, so that should be interesting. In the Eastern Conference, Nashville does have a 1-point lead over Inter Miami at the top of the table. Those New England Revolution are in third place on 15 points, and then there are a couple teams at 14. Chicago and Charlotte. Toronto is on 13 points. NYCFC is on 12 with the Red Bulls. And then Montreal. Congratulations, Montreal. They're in 9th place in a, I know it's early, right? But they're in a wild card spot right now on 9 points with Columbus, DC United, and FC Cincinnati. Atlanta's on 7, Orlando's on 7, and the Philadelphia Union. That Philadelphia Union's got 5 points. Congratulations. In the Western Conference, how about San Jose, baby? On 24 points, 3 points clear of Vancouver. LAFC obviously on 20 points. If they would hold out there, they'd be at 20 points. And of course, Minnesota, 17 points. Seattle and Real Salt Lake are on 16. Colorado and FC Dallas are on 13, and the Dynamo are on 12. and followed by San Diego FC, that's on 11. So interesting. But I'll tell you what, man. If first and foremost, congratulations to San Jose. They're having a hell of a year. But what a drop off for San Diego FC. Last year essentially ran away with the Western Conference, and this year struggling to get their season off the ground. Only 11 points. Didn't necessarily have that great of an off season, to try to improve. And credit to other teams like San Jose that actually did. But Montreal, Montreal is is a team that doesn't necessarily do a lot of legwork, and it's a very young team, a lot of cast off pieces as well too. That's basically 11 that's bought on the cheap, and 9 points, and obviously it's still early, so we'll see exactly how that pans out. But for them to be where they're at this stage instead of being at the bottom of the table, man, that's tell you what, man, it's a testament. All right. So we are getting start for the second half here. If it's going to be interesting to see what Minnesota actually does. They did have a couple of nice looks, but at the end of the day, again, LAFC has done a brilliant job defensively of making sure that they don't have space for them to attack certain channels. And that's what's kind of missing in Minnesota's attack, just the ability to utilize space. But, eventually you would like to think that Minnesota might be able to cash in on some of this possession. But, it's going to be interesting to see. As of right now, James Rodriguez really is playing deep. And you'd like to see him be a little bit higher up the pitch in order for him to potentially be that guy that can play a ball into space and be that dangerous playmaker. So who knows? Maybe Cameron Knowles is going to make that switch, that little bit of a tactical switch, and maybe that might unlock some things a little bit higher up. But we'll see. We have Greg 1987, who says, if Julian Hall keeps this pace and has a crazy stat like 15 goals before the roster drop, will he make the World Cup? Absolutely not. The thing with Julian Hall is this is his first MLS season. And while I will concede that he is having a very good start, he doesn't have a cap with the senior national team. I don't think it's necessarily unheard of, but that being said, it's that's what the January camp was all about. That's why not having it this year was a mistake, because that was the time to bring in Julian Hall. That was the time to bring in your Xavier Gozos of the world, to get him into a senior national team camp, to get him in front of Mauricio Pochettino, to give him those 2 friendlies, and then introduce him into that March camp. And not having Camp Cupcake. Yeah, dude, I'll just say it was a mistake. The fact that he hasn't been brought into the fold, it's going to play against him. And I understand. Yeah, like Julian Hall is going crazy for the New York Red Bulls. I understand. But, again, without having a cap, without having an introduction into the national team, I can't see a scenario where he's going to get called in, especially with, our striker pool as it is, right? Flo Balogun is absolutely on fire right now. Ricardo Pepi's going to make the team, and he is he is that dude that you bring off the bench. He is that poacher off the bench that, can go out there and give you a goal. And then you have Haji Wright, who, took Coventry City up, right? So those three are probably going to be your strikers. Is there a scenario where he brings four? Well, certainly you would like to think that there is going to be a roster spot for somebody that's going to be in form. You would like that. You would like that. But I would counter by saying those three guys are currently in form right now, and they're doing their business. They're scoring their goals. Again, Julian Hall is going to be a 2030 guy. And, again, I always go back to, that is why having a Camp Cupcake in a World Cup year is absolutely instrumental, because you're always going to have these guys, your Julian Halls of the world, who need to have that introductory into the senior national team. So you can actually do things right. If anything, you probably would have brought him into the March camp, right? And give him some run. But, let me ask you a question, Greg. Do you believe that Julian Hall, his production is going to translate right now to an international level? Meaning, in a World Cup setting, not necessarily group stage, but when we get out of the group stage and into the round of 32 and a round of 16, when the competition takes a major step up, do you think his 8 goals or his 15 goals is going to translate to an international level? That's going to be the question, right? Form is form, and I understand that, and I don't want to discredit form. I'm just saying, it's like, do you think that an 18-year-old that has 8 goals in Major League Soccer is ready to take a monumental jump up in competition? I don't know. And I don't want to discount Julian Hall, because I actually like Julian Hall. I really do. And I actually think he's probably going to be the starting striker come 2030. I actually think that he's going to be that guy. So we are getting set for the second half here in Minnesota. It doesn't look like there is going to be any changes for Minnesota United, as there is the heat map for Mr. James Rodriguez. And yeah, you can see that he's played very deep in that first half. Down that right-hand side is where right past the touch line, halfway line, is you see where he's done a lot of his possession right there. And that's far too deep for a dude like James Rodriguez. He's got to be a little bit closer. And it looks like NYCFC is going to make a halftime switch, as Porteus will check in for LAFC. As LAFC looks like they're about to come out now. It's interesting, right? You kind of wonder what it would look like with Sonny in the lineup today. Yeah, because Denny Bwanga has looked isolated down there on that left-hand side, and Ordaz really hasn't done much. I do like Ordaz, I really do. But with Sonny as that focal point where it draws defenses to him, he's able to, him and Bwanga are able to play really well off each other, and not having it looks like Aaron Long's coming out. All right. So Long is out, Porteus is in, as LAFC will have possession to start the second half as they are moving from left to right. So Minnesota will play to its home end. And we are off. As Hugo Lloris will play this one long. As that ball will come down to David Martinez, who plays it all the way back to Hugo Lloris. And of course, Hugo, former Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper. And of course, he was the captain of the French national team in 2022. And here comes LAFC down the left-hand side. Here's Bouanga, who cuts in, takes a shot. And right there is Drake Callender. Not that Drake. As Minnesota now will have possession. As Trianis will again play it to the other side. Here comes Minnesota down their favorite right-hand side. It's going to be Hamas, who plays it forward to Will Trapp. Here's Dieng, or Longwayne, excuse me. That's a nice little tap. There's a shot that's going to take a deflection. As Hamas will put one on, and that's going to be saved by Hugo Lloris. Not exactly a he didn't necessarily get all of that one. As Hamas has certainly been their focal point. As that one will get all the way back, and it looks like there's going to be a foul against LAFC as Home Dude got shoved right in the back as Ordaz. We'll get whistled there as Dugan. Yeah, Home Dude just got shoved right in the back. Unnecessary. And Ordaz was like, yeah, it's okay. It's whatever. Let's just play. I'm surprised he wasn't gifted a yellow card for his indifference. As Minnesota will make the switch. Here's Markanich. It's a trap. Dude, Will Trapp has been around forever. I think he's also got a couple of caps with the national team. If memory serves me correctly, I think he has. As Minnesota again working it down that right side. As now they're going to try to take that switch to the left. Here's Will Trapp. It's a trap. Here's Markanich, and he's got to turn around. As looks like Longwayne tried to play one into Hamas. As that passing lane was shut off. Oh, nice play by Will Trapp, who takes it away. Here's Hamas now. Here's Hamas, who's going to let one rip, and that's going to take a deflection. And I think this is going to be yet another corner here for Minnesota. This is probably going to be their 6th. As that ball gets whipped in, and it's going to be headed away. Falls to Longwayne. Played up to Hamas, as that's going to be deflected out. So Hamas will have yet another crack. As Hamas will whip this one in. And it does find daylight, as Markanich will play it to the other side. as it gets played all the way back to Will Trapp, and Will Trapp will play it all the way back to Drake Callender. As Callender now will play it long. And it'll head out. So Minnesota will have throw-in. As Paddleford throws it into Mr. Trapp. It's a trap. As Dugan will play it all the way down. Here's Hamas. Tries to find Dieng. As LA will come away with the ball. As there's the switch to the right-hand side. And that's a good ball forward. But there's Dugan, who gets there before Ordaz. And Minnesota has done a very good job defensively. LAFC really just hasn't been able to do much outside of their goal. All credit to Minnesota. They're just terrible on the attacking front. As there's the whistle, as play resumes. And they're going to make him do it again. And now a yellow card comes out, and I think that's going against Timmy Tillman. Yeah, Minnesota's attack is, yeah, I'll just say it. It's pretty rubbish. It's actually hot garbage today. They get nervy when LAFC presses. Here's your boy. And that was trying to find James Rodriguez. And LAFC will clear the ball yet again. As this time, Timmy Tillman will hit the deck. There's going to be a yellow against Yaboya. Yaboy! As, yeah, Tillman's okay. You're all right, bud. As we see it again. Oh. Nah. Yaboa's momentum brought him into him. It wasn't malicious. There shouldn't have been no yellow. Needless to say, LAFC now will have possession. And immediately... Oh, Minnesota gets it back. Okay, cool. Because it looked like Paddleford stepped in front of it. And now Minnesota will come away with it. God, LA is, you talk about rubbish attacks, man. LA has been non-existent. Outside of the goal, they've been non-existent all afternoon as that ball goes forward. As it finds your boy. And now it finds LAFC as this time Timmy Tillman does hit the deck. He doesn't get the call this time. Oh, what could have been. As, Trianis had a very good pass into a very good run. As that ball will be cleared out. So this will be a throw-in for Minnesota. That was a nifty little pass right there by Trianis. So Paddleford will have the long throw. Another aspect I don't like. It never works. As that was headed out. Trianis will play it back to Paddleford. Paddleford plays one in. And that just goes 3 rows behind Hugo Lloris right there. So currently LAFC has a 64% chance of winning. Minnesota a 10%. And a draw is 25%. So there's that. plus 550 of Minnesota winning. And it doesn't look like that's going to change because Minnesota literally cannot unlock this attack. Here's Yeboah. Last touch by LAFC. They just cannot unlock it. As that's a good pass and a heavy touch by Dieng right there. And now here comes LA the other way. As Minnesota will come away with that ball. And it's your boy. As Yeboah will play it over to Hamas. Hamas will play it into Marcanich. Here's Trianis. It's a trap. Here's Paddleford. Back to Will Trapp. And all of that just to try to go down the right side again. Nope, they're going to go down the left. Here's Paddleford. He's got space. And that's taken away. Paddleford. You got to play one in, bud. As Porteus right there did a good job. So this will be an LAFC throw-in. Paddleford, you got a nice little give and go. As soon as you get that ball, you got to play one in right off the first touch. He decided to take an extra touch. Ooh, nice little play by Marcanich. Oh, as that one will get out. Last touch by Tafore. Tafore made a run after taking that ball away. There was just nobody there. Minnesota did a good job of coming over and taking that ball away. There's a ball down the right side. Whoa, Hamas fed one in. Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible by Longwin. He just played it just right into Hugo Lloris. Here's Martinez now. As that's taken away by Minnesota. Here's Hamas. Good ball in. Here's Yeboah. Oh, and he can't finish. He can't finish. Yeboah. He beat his man too. What a silky through ball right there by Hamas. Oh, Yeboah. I think he might have been offside too. Kelvin. Everything I said about you in the opening, as this corner will find Longwayne. As he chips it back in, it'll find Hamas, and Hamas mishits it as that goes 20 rows deep. That's the thing. It's like I try to gloss a guy. I try to gloss a guy who's had a good start to the season. As it looks like Jeremy Ebobise and Schwinar are coming in. That's a cool last name. Schwinar. As Martinez comes off. And I think Estaquillo comes off. But man. As Martinez with a nice finish in the 8th minute, and that's where we kind of stand right now. But you gloss a guy and you throw him a lot of love, and then he's in a situation to equalize, and he pushes it left. How disappointing. And Yeboah is a killer too. Not today, he's not. He got nervy. As LAFC will play this back to Hugo Lloris. Here's Porteus. And here's Timmy Tillman. And that ball's taken away. As Will Trapp Plays it to Triandis, and now here's Trapp again, trying to play it forward, and there is nobody there. That's kind of what it feels like at this stage for Minnesota. And you know what? Yeah, I got beef with Minnesota. And a lot of it has to do with last year's playoffs. As play will resume, as Marcanic hits the deck, but Denny Bwanga comes away with it. Instead of playing it forward, he plays it all the way back. As Schwinar plays it back. As Minnesota is doing a pretty good job with pressing with their front three. There you go. That's a good ball forward. That's good defense. So Minnesota takes it away. As that gets played out, so Minnesota will have a throw in here. As it looks like Minnesota will bring in Pereira and Duncan, and it looks like Hamas will be coming off here in the 61st minute. So not a bad so it looks like it'll be Chancellor, Pereira, and Duncan in for Dieng, Rodriguez, and Longwayne. Not a bad debut for James Rodriguez. Not a bad debut. As it looks like, it looks like Duncan's coming on. Of course, Duncan is a Jamaican international. And Chancellor, he's a good player-ish. So we'll see if that changes the fortunes of Minnesota here. I'm a big fan of the Reggae Boys. Oh, that was just a terrible pass right there. As there's a whistle. As that'll go against Pereira. Not even a full minute on the field, he takes his first whistle. Yeah, not a bad debut for Hamas, as that's again, Minnesota takes away a passing lane, as that ball will come back to them yet again, as LA just cannot get forward. But yeah, with a 1-0 lead and the fact that Minnesota can't break them down, I'm sure they're sitting in I'm sure they're feeling pretty good about their chances, as LAFC will take that one away. And they can't clear it, so here comes Minnesota. It's Will Trapp. Here's Triantis. There's a slick little move right here, and Yeboah can't do anything with that, as LAFC will come away with it. Yeah, I got beef with Minnesota, and Seattle had a comfortable 2-0 lead in that second leg, or in that third leg of the first round last year in Minnesota, and they even were up a man as well too, and a couple of bad no calls allowed Minnesota to gain some momentum, and they ended up winning in a shootout. That was terrible. As LAFC can't hang on to this ball, so here comes Minnesota. As they're going to try to play this one down the right side. as that one will get out. So LAFC will have throw-in. As we are in the 65th minute now, as we have about 25 minutes left in this one. I thought this one, me personally, I thought this one was going to be an absolute banger. Yeah. Home team, no win, guys. Yeah. As play resumes, as Minnesota again will hold this deep in LAFC's territory. Can they find the equalizer? Here's Paddleford. Here's Chancellor. As that's a good work ball in. As Markanich. As Minnesota. Yeah, that's going to get out. So that'll be a throw-in for Minnesota as Yeboah try to dribble it between two defenders. Here's Paddleford. Here's Pereira. Chips to the back post, headed on. And it just missed. It misses it to the left. As that was Diaz right there who got on the end of it. As that one will get out. So Minnesota again will have possession. At least there was a ball into the box there. At least there was an opportunity. That's what's been missing, as that ball will get played all the way to the left, and and Paddleford can't keep it in. So this will be an LAFC goal kick. Good idea, just a bad ball down the left-hand side. As Minnesota's been knocking on the door pretty much the entire match. Just no end quality, as that one will get out. And this will be an LAFC throw in here along the left-hand touch line. As there's an errant pass that Minnesota will pick back up. As Minnesota will start their journey again. As this one will go wide right. And now they will try to swing it around. Here's Chancellor. Here's Trianis now down the right-hand side. And they're going to have to play this one back. Ooh, nice little tip right there. As it will get out. And a last touch by LAFC. And again, Ordaz with a hard tackle. Play resumes. Here's Trianis. And it'll be swung out to the left-hand side with Chancellor. Played to the right. Here's Duncan. And that ball is going to be misdirected and eventually played out. So Minnesota will have the throw-in. Here's Pereira. Tries to play it in. And that'll find Hugo Lloris. Yeah, I was kind of expecting like a 2-2, 3-2 type of thriller. Instead, we've gotten a sloppy... I don't know. a sloppy back and forth. LAFC has been absolutely non-existent. They have literally just sat back and defended for the last 70 minutes. As Minnesota, that is going to be a whistle right there. It looks like that's going to be against Duncan. The Jamaican. As LAFC will play this one long, as Bawanga can't get to it. Drake Callender will play this down to Markanich, as Minnesota will try yet again. In the words of the great Aaliyah, if you first don't succeed, you can dust yourself off and try again. That's what Minnesota is trying. Yeah, I just aged myself. Here's Yaboa. Yaboa! As this one will get played back. Here's Trianis. And Trianis loses the ball. That's a nice little play right there by Dugan. As Bouanga was trying to get around Dugan. Here's Chancellor. As we are in the 72nd minute now. And it literally was David Martinez's goal in the 8th minute that has essentially stood. As Minnesota has had multiple bites at the apple, but they have not been able to cash in. And they turn it over again. Ugh. And there's going to be a whistle, yeah. That's going to go to LAFC as Timmy Tillman hits the deck. As looks like that they're going to say that was against Will Trapp. It's a trap. As the time continues to tick down, Minnesota's probability to win continues to drop now. As let's see if LAFC... Nope, that ball's turned over. Right there in the mid. Here's Yaboa. And LA did a good job right there. Here's Chancellor. Here's Pereira putting one in. As Paddleford will win that one back. Here's Chancellor. That's taken away by LAFC. As Minnesota tried to work one into a central area. And now that's turned over again. Nice little give and go the last time Minnesota had it. LAFC just stepped into the space and took it away. Here's Yaboa. And that's taken away. And there's going to be a whistle. As Yaboa grabs his face. Dude, nothing happened. Nah. That wasn't a hard elbow. Actually, it was. All right. All righty. He looks fine to me. As we are approaching the 75th minute, 15 minutes remain here. As LAFC now is closer and closer to the end line. As that 8th minute goal by David Martinez is the difference maker. And as time continues to tick down now, Minnesota seems farther away, as LAFC will have possession here. As that ball's taken away by Minnesota. Bad decision with the ball right there. As now they're going to try to play one down the left-hand side. That was a good little play right there by Contreras. As looked like they were looking for Markanich right there. As Hugo Lloris stepped inside. LAFC, it's been a while since they've actually been in Minnesota's box. And that one's turned over. That's turned over in a bad area. As that ball is going to go on. Oh, nearly as it goes wide. Just barely wide to the right by Pereira. That's the thing. It's like, how many turnovers has LA conceded? Only for Minnesota not to take advantage. Like, at this stage, Minnesota should have like 4. As Trionis will come off now. As Gene will come in, or Gene. And it looks like Will Trapp will come off for Gonzalez. And it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, the amount of opportunities that Minnesota has had, because LAFC can't put together 2 passes. And Minnesota just cannot cash in. As this one will come down. As Timmy Tillman will head this one forward. As here's Tillman. And Minnesota will take it away. And that's a bad pass forward. Here's Tillman. Oh, a nice little pass forward. Here comes Bowanga. As LAFC sets up now. As this one gets played all the way back to Tafore. As this one will go out of play, so LAFC will have the throw in here. Here's Tillman. As Porteas has to go back. What would be laughable is if LAFC finds the back of the net here to go 2 up when they've been absolutely horrible. As no, they won't. As that one will get out. As Smolikov. Can't hold on to it. So looks like LAFC is bringing on a youngster here for the last 10 minutes. As here comes Minnesota. Here's Paddleford. That's a dumb last name. As Pereira plays one in. Looks like Yeboah tried to flick one on. And here comes LAFC. Here's Bowanga. As he tried to play one through. As Bowanga was looking for a foul, he isn't going to get one. So here comes Minnesota. 10 minutes remain. Here comes Chancellor. Here's Markanich. And it'll be Paddleford. Yeah, there's just no, like Minnesota has nobody in the box. There you go. As that pass went to nowhere. As Paddleford will come back and retrieve it. So here's Chancellor now. Get in the box. Jesus, that's taken away. Oh. Dude, Minnesota's clueless. Here's Bowanga. As that gets passed all the way back. As LAFC really isn't doing much either. Schwinnar will play it back to Tafore. As it finds Hugo, and now Hugo's going to have to play this one long. As Minnesota will take over here. Good Lord. 8 minutes remaining. Ugh. As Yeboah somehow comes away with that ball. That was turnover city right there. Here's Chancellor. There is a shot, and there's nothing on it. As Hugo Lloris was right there. I'm surprised Minnesota got a shot off right there. That will go out, so Minnesota will have a throw in here. So here comes Terry, the young kid, as it looks like Ordaz is coming off. All right. Let's see what this young kid's got. All right. And it's not a like for like. It doesn't look like it's a like for like. As Terry moved over quite nicely to D up Chancellor there. As that ball's taken away. So here comes LAFC. That's a good ball over the top. Here comes Bowanga now. Bowanga's in the box. There's a shot. Oh! Oh, what an opportunity to go 2 up. Oh, what a heartbreaker. Oh, man. As Bowanga put a nifty ball in the box, and it was point blank, and he absolutely just, oh, that was the dagger right there. Oh. As Jeremy and Ebobise missed a golden opportunity right there. As LAFC takes it away, here's Tafore now. And that one goes out. I think this is going to be an LAFC throw-in. Oh, Jeremy and Ebobise just missed the opportunity. Good stop right there by Drake Callender, though. Oh. Oh, Ebobisse. You're never going to get a better look at net than that. Oh, he goes short side. And now there's a yellow card for time wasting by Hollingshead. Here comes LA. Here's Bouanga. That's going to go out. That'll be an LAFC throw-in. Oh, Ebobisse wants that one back. Nice little pass right there by the youngster in traffic. That was nice. As here comes Minnesota pressing, trying to get the ball back. And this one will go out, so LAFC will have a throw-in. As this one's going to go up. It does find Bouanga. Oh, and he puts one on. As Drake Callender makes a save. So all of a sudden, LAFC is getting into dangerous areas. This will be a, I think this will be a corner. Good throw-in. Good save right there by Drake Callender. As that was point blank right at his head. That's usually one of the hardest shots to stop right there. As that one will go out. As Chancellor comes over with a sliding tackle to play that one out. So this will be a throw-in. I don't know what LA was doing on that corner there. As this one is taken away. So Minnesota now will play it down the right-hand side. Here's Duncan. Here's Paddleford now down the left side. It'll be Pereira. As Pereira, give and go. He's going to swing one in. Headed to the backside of the box. Here's Duncan. Duncan will play one in, and that's going to take a deflection. So we're now in the 80th minute. 2 minutes remain, and I'm sure there'll be a couple minutes of added time. As Minnesota has had multiple looks and haven't been able to cash in. As Pereira will take this corner here. As that's swung in. Headed away by Tafori as it hits Diaz, tries to play it in. Oh, dude, that actually hit Tafori. That dude has been unlucky. That hit Tafori again, right in the balls. Oh, dear. That was just a miss hit. Here's Pereira. As Pereira's going to play one in again. As it pings around, and now it's going to get cleared out by LAFC. As we're in the 89th minute now. Oh, this has been death by 1,000 paper cuts. Oh. Man, and that's a nice little play off the half turn. Tafore is going to, it's going to go out again for a corner. As Tafore tried to avoid a corner. So we are approaching the 90th now. I don't think Minnesota is going to equalize. As this ball is going to get swung in. Back post headed. And then cleared off by Tafore. Duncan comes over. Here's Gene. It's probably like pronounced like Gene. There's a shot. That's going to take a deflection as Duncan will hold it in. And that's going to be taken away by Timmy Tillman. Oh, how about Duncan? Stepping in front of Tillman to take it away. Here's Yeboah. Heavy touch. As Bawanga swoops in. And Bawanga gets to the outside, and now he'll just clear this up. Oh, here's Ebobisse now. Oh. And Ebobisse can't get past the defender. 4 minutes of added time now. As we are coming down to the 90-minute, the drama of the 90th minute. As that's going to be cleared. As LAFC now will have possession. It's Bawanga who plays it forward. Here's Timmy Tillman. I hate calling grown men Timmy. As that will get out, so it'll be a goal kick. And again, as Ebobisse was coming down the left-hand side and couldn't get past Diaz there. Another solid cross into Ebobisse. And he just can't. Ugh. Dude, Bawanga is nice. And it looks like Smolikov is coming off. As Palencia comes on for Smolikov. We are halfway through the 4 minutes of added time. Minnesota's got possession. Here's Dugan. There's a chip into the box. Good header out by Petraeus. And now Bawanga is going to make the play. Here comes Bawanga in the box. Here's Denny. Oh, Drake Callender with a save. Yes, Bawanga goes far post. God, he's awesome. Dude, that boy is an animal. As he beats Dugan to the ball, races into the box, full speed. Tries to go far post, but Drake Callender is there. As they will play short, that's going to take a deflection. As Minnesota will come away with this. Yeah, of course, LA wasn't even trying. They know Minnesota's not going to score. As Duncan is going to go to the left-hand side. Pereira will hold it in. Tips it forward. Here's Paddleford. As Paddleford stops. Yeah, he's not going to take on this man. Here's Pereira. Here's Duncan. Tries to go to the right. That's going to be headed away. Diaz holds it in. There's a shot, and that's going to get out. So I think Minnesota now will have yet another corner. There's a yellow card. As we are in the 94th. As this might be the final play here. And yeah, that'll be a yellow card. Against LAFC. As that ball was really whipped in as Pereira has to put one on. There's Hugo Lloris. And I think this is going to be it. As LAFC will get a 1-0 victory over Minnesota United. As, let's see. All right, so Harrison Hills, 49, 50, 49, 90, 45, 93. I actually said 3-1 LAFC. I thought it was going to be one of those crooked LAFC type of victories, and it was not that at all. It was a 1-0 type of games that was a death by 1,000 paper cuts. After LAFC got their goal in the 8th minute, Minnesota just dominated possession, but Minnesota couldn't do just a damn thing with the ball. And of course, James Rodriguez, the Colombian maestro there. I thought he actually did pretty well for his first MLS appearance, and you can tell that he was the focal point of the attack. But LAFC did a very good job of marking him, and there wasn't really much he can do. LAFC really just had, Minnesota had one good opportunity, and Kelvin Yeboah, pushed his shot left. So, yeah. Carl Slim Blue, aka Audio Artisan. Good to see you, Carl. Let's see. Any MLS gems we can take to the championship? MLS gems. Yeah. Yeah, there's actually quite a bit, man. That's funny. Carl, you're a dude, you're a beauty. So and it's a big if we drop down to the championship, yeah, there is. Real Salt Lake has 2. And that is Diego Luna and Xavier Gozo, that I would have no problem picking up in the championship. I think those 2 would absolutely dominate. San Jose has got a nice player in Nico Sakaris. Very good striker. He's a Greek American striker, and that dude is absolutely beautiful on the ball. New York has a couple of players in Julian Hall and Mehmeti, who are going to be absolute stars. So yeah, there's a couple young dudes. Max Arfston is another one. Jack McGlynn's another one. Major League Soccer has a cachet of good young talent that should make the jump to Europe. And the championship would really be a really good level for those guys, because not only do I think that they would flourish, but I think that depending on what the plan is, right? So if Spurs go down, you would probably assume that roster is going to look young. And what I like about the idea of the championship is this is cheap labor. Major League Soccer is, don't get me wrong, it's not like a youth factory as it should be, but there is enough talent that you're going to be able to get some good guys for less than 10 million pounds. And there are some very good players that would flourish in the championship. For sure. But that's kind of funny how you ordered that that we can take to the championship. You're a beauty. Carl Slim Blue. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the final stats on this one. Again, this was really a death by 1,000 paper cuts type of game. Minnesota United dominated possession 62% to 38%. They dominated the XG 1.91 to 0.80. Minnesota had 24 total shots to LAFC 7. The problem was they only had 4 shots on target. LAFC's 7 shots, all of them were on target. LAFC had 3 big chances. They missed 2. Minnesota had 2, and they missed both of them. Accurate passes, 543 for Minnesota, 319 for LAFC. Fouls committed, 11 for Minnesota, 9 for LAFC. Minnesota had 11 corners, 11 opportunities, and they couldn't cash in, while LAFC ended up with 2. XG from open play, Minnesota 1.22 to LAFC's 0.76. XG on set play, 0.69 for Minnesota, 0.03 for LAFC. Good Lord. Total passes, 613 for Minnesota, 391 for LAFC. Passes in the own half, LAFC 205, Minnesota 184. Passes in the opposition half, 359 for Minnesota, 114 for LAFC. Accurate long balls, 31-18 to LAFC. Accurate crosses, 8-0 for Minnesota. 17-12 throws to Minnesota. Touches in the opposition box, 27-9 for Minnesota. That's crazy. Yellow cards, 3 for LAFC, 1 for Minnesota. LAFC did win the tackle battle on the defensive side, 22-21. Interceptions, 10-9 to Minnesota. Blocks, 9-0 to LAFC. Clearances, 38-13 for LAFC. And keeper saves, Minnesota 6. LAFC 3. LAFC did win the duel battle, 54-49. They also won grand duels, 44-39. Aerial duels were even at 10, and successful dribbles, 11-9 to LAFC. And so from that standpoint, man, again, this match was not what I expected. I expected at least a little bit more on the attacking side of things. For large stretches of that match, LAFC just decided to bunker. They got the impression that Minnesota wasn't going to able to do anything, and I think they gambled right. Minnesota, that was such a disappointing performance for Minnesota in all phases. When when you're setting up, like Minnesota looked like they look like Spurs under Thomas Frank, where when they would be in the attack, all they did was just move the ball around. There was no creativity as far as getting into the box or getting stuck in. Strikers weren't making runs, and there was really no ball movement into the box, and it was literally just side to side, back passes, trying to find space, to try to get in on the half turn and play something forward. And whenever there was an opening, LAFC just closed it down, and the ball would get cleared. And it was so tough to watch. It was so tough to watch. And with that win, LAFC now will jump into third place on 20 points. So they did get some separation as both teams entered on 17 points. So LAFC now just 1 point clear of Vancouver in second place in the Western Conference. Let's see. Of course, that was the third match of the day, as later today, Inter Miami will play New England. DC will host Orlando City. Cincinnati hosts the Red Bulls. Columbus will host Philly. Austin will host the Houston Dynamo. Chicago hosts Sporting KC. Nashville hosts Charlotte. St. Louis hosts San Jose. San Diego will host Portland. And Sounders will host FC Dallas, with Vancouver hosting Colorado. So, man, good Lord, man, that really was death by 1,000 paper cuts. You would expect more. You would expect more for a team like LAFC, but again, without Sonny today, and really your lone attacker, in Dennis Bwanga, you kind of got the idea that Minnesota was going to key in on that, and they certainly did. Not a lot from Ordaz, and when Jeremy Ebobisse came on, he did have an opportunity to put it up 2-0, but that was just a bad shot. It just is what it is, man. It is just one of those games, and a lot of turnovers, man. A lot of turnovers in this one. Not a lot of confidence in the center of the park, and that seems to be a reoccurring theme in Major League Soccer. Especially when it comes to counterattacking situations, it just seems like a lot of these guys are trying to rush, and instead of picking out a player to play off it. They're just trying to get forward as quick as possible, and mistakes get made, and you see just a high percentage of turnovers. Man. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for me because, quite frankly, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. Congratulations to LAFC picking up the 3 points. You kind of had a feeling that was going to be the way it was, that was going to play out, even up one. Yeah, it's like Minnesota did have an opportunity to get back into it, but again, not a lot of confidence in that attack, and when LAFC is going to drop 7 back, it's going to be hard to break them down, and it lets you know just exactly where Minnesota's got to work on. And listen, I like Kelvin Yeboah, I really do. And I think that kid has an opportunity to be something special, but you saw that today, at least, against a defense like LAFC, he just had a hard time positioning himself, getting himself into space where he can actually, cause damage. It almost seemed like in that second half, he was unwilling to go 1v1 against maybe taller and physical center back. So little upsetting on that one, but what are you going to do? Minnesota loses. That's going to do it for me, guys. Do me a favor, though, but please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. I potentially coming back tomorrow. I will make a post on the YouTube channel, if I am coming back tomorrow. I'm definitely coming back on Tuesday for US M&T Yanks Abroad as we recap the weekend for US M&T pool players. And of course, there will be a show on Tuesday as well, too. So definitely look out for those. So I will see you then. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, guys. Enjoy your Saturday.